Hello there. I thought I'd start doing some book reviews. So today I'd like to review The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nicholas James Bridgewater, or NJ Bridgewater, for those who know my books, which I publish. And I'm quite interested in this book, The Science of Getting Rich, because I've been looking a lot into different methods of money making, how successful people became rich or have become rich, and I was attracted to this book because it's a classic book, it's very well known, and it's quite short as well, so it's easy to read. I'm reading it currently, or I have been reading it on my Kindle Fire. So I thought I'd just start by looking at chapter 17 of the book, because this actually contains a summary of the entire book. It begins with the main premise of the book, which I don't necessarily agree with. It says, "There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imagined, that is imaged by the thought. Man can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance, can cause the thing he thinks about to be created." So this is an interesting idea. I agree with it to some extent, to the extent that everything that exists in the universe originally came from one substance, that there is a basic, or there are basic building blocks of everything physical. There is energy, there are basic elements, some of which we know about, perhaps even more basic and fundamental elements which we've not yet discovered, that constitute the universe as we know it. So that is true in the sense of being an original substance. There is a thinking stuff, he says. Now that's not entirely clear what he means, unless he means that physical existence is somehow connected with thought, or is the same substance as thought. It could be a sort of pantheistic concept in which the primal being, or God, which, created the universe, is the universe. Perhaps that's what he's saying. I don't actually agree with that, but that could be one concept. And the other idea in that quote is that human beings can form things in their thought and use that to cause something to exist. In a sense that, basically, I don't agree that we can create anything, but the idea of taking something that's formless and giving it a shape, that's possible. If we think about something and then we act upon our thoughts, then we can create things. So, a carpenter can think of something, take a piece of wood, turn it into something else. So that's thought that's realized in action. So that's somewhat true. Now, another thing he says, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. "Man may come into full harmony with the formless substance by entertaining a lively and sincere gratitude for the blessings it bestows upon him." So he's talking about the importance of gratitude. So if we are grateful for everything that we've received, then we will be in harmony with this essential existence, which he calls the formless substance. Again, it's not clear, is he talking about a being, as in God, or is he talking about physical reality? But for him, it may be that everything is the same, sort of pantheistic concept. Now, this is the interesting part, because he's talking about the process of how you become rich, or how you achieve your objectives. Man must form a clear and definite mental image of the things he wishes to have, do, or to become. And he must hold this mental image in his thoughts, while being deeply grateful to the Supreme that all his desires are granted to him. The man who wishes to get rich must spend his leisure hours in contemplating his vision, and in earnest thanksgiving that the reality is being given to him. Too much stress cannot be laid on the importance of frequent contemplation of the mental image, coupled with unwavering faith and devout gratitude. This is the process by which the impression is given to the formless and the creative forces set in motion. So to summarize that, a human being must form a clear mental image of what he wants, visualize that, have a clear vision, constantly return to this vision of what he or she wants, and be deeply grateful to the Supreme, which I assume he means God, for everything that has already been granted to him. So you imagine what you want, you focus on it, you have a clear vision of what you want, and you're grateful for everything you receive, and by this interaction of gratefulness or thanksgiving with a clear desire for what you want, you can, in a sense, manifest this reality. That's what Wattles is proposing, I believe. Other things he says in this chapter: creative energy works through the established channels of natural growth and of the industrial and social order. So he's essentially saying it's not a magical way of things coming into being. Things that you want will happen through the existing normal channels. So through the social order, through industry, through physical processes, business, whatever, your desires will come into existence. So it's kind of mystical in the sense that it begins with a vision and you mystically transform that vision into reality, but at the same time it happens through natural processes. That's what he's arguing. He does also say that we must be active. He says, in order to receive his own, when it shall come to him, man must be active, and this activity can only consist in more than filling his present place. So, through continuing on your existing path, doing the best in your current position. What else does he say? He says, we must keep in mind the purpose to get rich through the realization of mental image, his mental image, and he must do every day all that can be done that day, taking care to do each act in a successful manner. So try to do your best in everything that you do while maintaining a vision of something better. Okay? And he says, the men and women who practice the foregoing instructions will certainly get rich, and the riches they receive will be in exact proportion to the definiteness of their vision, the fixity of their purpose, the steadiness of their faith, and the depth of their gratitude. So the extent to which you will succeed will depend on those things: definite vision, fixity of purpose, steadiness of faith, and depth of gratitude. These four things together are the keys, according to Wallace D. Wattles, of getting rich. Okay? So, essentially, it is a sort of philosophical way of understanding how desires or goals manifest into reality. So he has a certain philosophy behind what he's writing. But at the same time, he's giving some clear steps as to how to get rich. So you're in a current position in life, according to Wattles, whatever your job or whatever you're doing, your purpose that you're following, and you do your best within that frame of reference. At the same time, you maintain a vision of something better that you want to achieve, and by focusing on that vision, having a fixed purpose about it, and having steady faith that it will come to pass, and maintaining your gratitude to the Supreme for everything that you've received, existing processes will bring about opportunities for you to follow. And that's not everything that he says. There are some other key things he talks about. He talks about the importance of providing value for others. I don't have the quote right in front of me. He talks about what happens when you experience failure. For example, he says, when you make a failure, it is because you've not asked for enough. Keep on, and a larger thing than what you were seeking will certainly come to you. Remember this. But he says, don't worry too much about disasters. It is time enough to meet such things when they present themselves before you in the immediate present, and you will find that every difficulty carries with it the wherewithal for its overcoming. So everything difficult that happens to you can be overcome, according to him. It's sort of a providence or divine, what would you say, a divine plan in your life. Other key quotes that I've picked up on or highlighted in the Kindle book include this quote here: the man who is certain to advance is the one who is too big for his place and who has a clear concept of what he wants to be, who knows that he can become what he wants to be, and who is determined to be what he wants to be. Okay? So you need to know what you want and who you want to be. Do you want to be a successful businessman? Then you have to visualize that. You have to see yourself as a successful businessman. Know that you are that successful businessman and focus on that as your purpose. He says, quote, feel that you are getting rich and that in so doing you are making others rich and conferring benefits on all. So it's not about selfishness. This isn't his argument. He's not saying become some rich tycoon and forget everybody else. He's saying when you're getting rich, or feel that you're getting rich, and realize that you're making other people rich at the same time. And it's not a zero-sum game. By gaining riches, you can help other people, you can create jobs, you can do so many other things, essentially. And thus confer benefits on all. That's how I take what he's saying. And as what I was saying before about doing everything to your best ability, he says, do everything that you do in the firm conviction that you are an advancing personality and that you're giving advancement to everybody. Again, it's this whole thing of don't be selfish. You are advancing yourself, and at the same time, you're advancing everybody else. So the two things go hand in hand. What else did he say? Find your niche, essentially. He says, quote, you will get rich most easily in point of effort if you do that for which you are best fitted. But you will get rich most satisfactorily if you do that which you want to do. This is interesting. So it's a false dichotomy to think you can do what you're most suited for, or you can choose what you want to do. The two should go hand in hand, and actually doing what you want to do is the best thing. It should be what you're fitted to do, but it should also be what you want to do. So maybe you are fitted to be a writer, and if you want to be a writer, then go ahead and do that. Talks about faith and purpose, doing things in an efficient manner. One useful quote is he says, do every day all that can be done that day. It's a very useful quote. And yeah, so there's just tons of wisdom in this book, and I highly recommend that you check it out and yeah, read it if you can. It's available in Kindle format. I believe it's free. I think I purchased it for free. There's a number of, if you don't know already, if you read Kindle books, there are a lot of free books which are not copyrighted. And even if you find one book is for 99 cents or above, you can actually try and search for it. There might be a free version on Kindle. It's quite late at the moment, but I enjoy drinking tea. I think drinking tea is probably one of the key things for getting rich as well. And actually, I'm drinking decaf tea, currently Yorkshire Tree Decaf from Taylor's of Harrogate, or Harrogate, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but they're not sponsoring me to do this, but if Taylor's of Harrogate want me to sponsor them, I'll happily take their money. So if you are connected with Yorkshire Tree or Harrogate or Taylor's of Harrogate, do get in touch, and I'm sure we can come up with some sort of sponsorship deal. So yeah. And before I go, of course, I will again mention my own science fiction work, Green Monk of Trem, Book 1. If you haven't seen my previous video, I talk about a little bit about the story behind this book, so I won't mention it here, but do check out my previous video on the topic, Green Monk of Trem, Part 1, An Epic Journey of Mystery and Adventure. And of course, I don't have a physical copy of it with me at the moment, but it's also available in Kindle format. My other book, which is Mindfulness, 5 Ways to Achieve Real Happiness, True Knowledge, and Inner Peace. I've also done a short video about this as well, but I might do more on it in the future, because there's a lot of useful stuff in here about how to attain real happiness. And these aren't just ideas that I came up with myself. I've actually studied a lot of ancient works of philosophy, of religion, of spirituality, and I've taken a lot of the gems, a lot of the eternal truths from these works and worked out essentially 5 ways to be, which include detachment, developing virtue, magnanimity or generosity, contemplation, meditation, radiant acquiescence. There's a lot of concepts, deep spiritual concepts, which you can find hidden within the writings of Plato, the writings of the Bible, the Quran, many other great sources of wisdom, which I read a lot and which I truly value. So if you are interested in spirituality or self-development or improving your life, feeling happier, feeling better, then do check out this book. I have other books which are coming up soon, and if you subscribe to this channel, you'll find out more about them. You can also join my mailing list, which I'll put a link to below, where you can get updates about my upcoming books. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas19. And also I have a Facebook page. Look for NJ Bridgewater. I'll put a link in the description below as well. So I hope you have a great day, guys, and I'll try to keep you up to date with more book reviews.